We'll talk about some of the qualities and characteristics that I see are necessary for a good instructor. So let's talk about it. Stay tuned. Welcome to Shihan's Dojo. I'm Shihan Marty Husband, and we're here today to help you build your martial arts skills or your knowledge. And if you're wanting to take the martial arts, maybe give you a little more information about it. So if you're here to grow your skills or knowledge, jab that subscribe button and punch that bell so we can notify you when we have a new video coming out. The question for the day is, what do you like about your main instructor in the martial arts? Give us an idea what draws you to him. Let's talk about what does it take to be a good instructor and what should you look for in an instructor. There are many ways to determine who's a good instructor, and throughout history we've all seen it, even in our school days when we had a favorite teacher who knew how to teach us something we didn't know and we always remembered him. But the important thing to remember, those people were educated in what they knew, and not only that, they had the characteristics and personality to teach what they knew. There's an old saying, if you can't do it, you teach. Well, I don't believe that. I believe that's an understatement on the part of what you're trying to say with your teacher. I've known many great instructors out there that you would never know they were martial arts unless they told you. And many of those guys are so quiet and knowledgeable you wouldn't think about it. Personally, I'm passionate about martial arts. I always have been since the early 70s. And to me, when I learned it, it was about learning. I didn't want to be the best martial artist in the world. I didn't want to be a top name person. I did want to learn martial arts, and I did want to eventually teach it because there's something special about it. And an instructor feels that in their heart. To be a good instructor, an instructor never stops the ability to want to learn. In the style I'm in, a sensei is a person who is a teacher. He's a person who's studied himself and brought him up to a certain level. You have to be awarded a sensei in our style. You could get your third and fourth dan and still not be a sensei. Although most styles tend to think, well, if you've got a third-degree black belt, he must be a sensei. The second level is basically a Shihan. A Shihan is basically a teacher of teachers. Now, when you look at it from that standpoint, it's hard for the beginning student to ever get anybody but the junior instructors or the senseis. Now, I don't believe that's the best option for most people out there. If you've got a Shihan that's teaching the main part of a class, you've got something very important there. Now, understand, some people out there have given themselves the title of Shihan. It too has to be awarded. It's usually awarded to 5th and 6th degree black belts in the martial arts, specifically Japanese martial arts. But whatever your instructors are called, understand their levels. Understand what they're doing to continue their own education. Me, I study Okinawan karate on the side. I study all kinds of different kung fu aspects. I study bubishi. I keep continuing to add to my style. So a good martial arts instructor never stops learning. And they have to have the ability to break it down in explanation for the student to understand. That's not as easy as it sounds, and it's definitely not as hard as putting it on a video. The one thing I do say about when I'm teaching, if I can't do it, why would I make you do it? Physically, you may be able to do things the instructor can't, but my job is not to make you as good as I am, but to make you better than I am. I don't want somebody to be almost as good or as good as me. I want them to be better. I want them to take the knowledge that they learned from me and any other instructor, build on it, build their own system, their own style. Yes, keep a base style, but as we know with many famous martial artists, they took the style that they learned and made it their own. You're saying, well, so style matters. No, style doesn't matter. Let's look at tennis pros. Every tennis pro you see out there has a different style, but they started off the same way, learning how to serve, learning how to volley back and forth. It was the same, but then they had to learn to move and make it their own. Because once they had the basics down, then they had to work on getting their techniques correct. Now, the things you should look for yourself is one, somebody who doesn't seem overbearing. Now remember, and martial arts instructors, especially classical ones, expect you to listen to them. But some of the best martial artists I know expect you to ask questions too. Because if you don't ask a question, they're not sure always how you're going to understand. So you have to have some vocalization in order to express what you're trying to learn and where they plan to take you. Make sure they have goal systems, whether it's by belt, whether it's by learning certain techniques before you're going to the next one. However they rank it, make sure you have goals that you can build up on a step ladder. Like I said, martial arts has a belt, but there are other systems that just teach you until you can get certain techniques down. In boxing, you would have the amateurs and then you have the pros. There are so many different facets to different types of martial arts, but there are progressions, and make sure there is some sort sort of goal or progression in your studies that you're doing. Sometimes it's better to find an instructor who has multiple styles under their belts and high ranking, and maybe one's low ranking, maybe both are high ranking. I don't know. But make sure that they've got the certifications that they need. I know many instructors who have self-promoted themselves, and it's kind of sad to watch them because they didn't get the acknowledgement from their peers, and so they promoted themselves. I don't think I could live with myself if I had promoted myself, because I want to make sure that the instructors who taught me and those that I've been around really get who I am. Another thing to make sure, find out how their standings are in the community. Sometimes it doesn't hurt for you to find out who the person is and how many people know them. Now, don't go by every person you meet, because somebody doesn't like somebody all the time. Or, oh, they think this person's a pompous person, or they don't talk to you. Well, maybe they're quiet. Always remember, people are people. And you can't judge by who they are, but by what their actions are. So if they're a good, upstanding, community-minded individual, and they're teaching martial arts to students, there's some good to it. If they've got a day job like some of us have. Some of them just teach for a hobby on the side. However, that doesn't make them an inadequate instructor. So just find out a little bit about the person. Check around, Google them. Thank goodness for the internet. If you're wanting to have your kids learn, check with them. Go in and watch the classes that they're teaching with the kids. Now, there comes a time when the kids do intermingle with the adults, and that's usually when they're from the 10s to the teens, especially if they've gotten up into the higher ranks, such as getting close to their black belts or halfway up close to their black belts, because sometimes they need the advanced training that it gets in the adult classes. Kids' classes can be highly specialized. Make sure the people teaching them know what they're doing. That's why you should go watch. And if you want to watch for yourself, ask. There are times you will have closed sessions, like during tests and stuff like that, only family members can come in, but that's a different story. So most of the time, most dojos will let you sit and watch, and probably the instructor will talk to you and tell you what their things are, or their junior instructor, somebody there will talk to you. And if they don't, for the classes to get done, or if they see you, get their attention so you can ask more questions. So I hope this little conversation on instructors helps you guys out there. Just remember out there, do your research, understand what's going on, make sure they're legitimate. I'm not saying which styles are better than others, because it's not the style that's the best, it's the person who's teaching it and learning it that makes a style the best. And if you like this, like it and share it with your friends out there so we can continue to make videos here at Shihan's Dojo. Don't forget to answer the question today. What is it you like about your martial arts instructor that really draws you to him? Leave it down in the comments so we can all enjoy it and see it and maybe learn something from it. We'll see you again here on Shihan's Dojo.